I am very sorry for your loss. Thank you. There is one more thing. Yes? Your father left three other children. They are waiting in the car.
This is a true story. I heard it from a man who was at that funeral. Kofi was 38 years old. He owned a software company in London. He drove a nice car. He had a nice flat. He had not been back to Ghana in 17 years. He did not come home because he loved his father. He came home because somebody had to bury him. That was the entire plan. 4 days, sign the papers, lower the box into the ground, lock the door to the shack, and never come back. Nobody had told him to come. No family had called. He had received one short email from the undertaker. That was all. The funeral had 12 people, all old men who had driven taxi with his father. Kofi did not know any of them. He paid for the nicest coffin they had, almost out of spite. He thought to himself, this is the last thing I will ever give you. When it was over, everyone left. The undertaker walked over to him, wiped his hands on his trousers, and said those words you heard at the beginning. Kofi looked across the graveyard. Parked under a mango tree at the very edge was a rusted old Toyota Corolla. 4 people were sitting inside. They had been there the entire service. They had not got out. They had not said a word. He walked over. The door opened. The oldest one got out. She was 32. Her name was Amma, and she had his father's nose. Exactly his father's nose. Kofi stopped walking. For a second he could not breathe. She said, "We did not want to disturb you. We knew you did not know we existed." That was the day the whole story Kofi had told himself for 17 years fell apart. For his entire life he had believed his father was a lazy, selfish drunk. A man who worked all day and came home with no money. A man who missed every birthday, every school day, everything that mattered. A man who had abandoned him and his mother. And all of it was true. And none of it was the whole truth. For 3 days, Kofi did not speak to anyone. He locked himself in his father's one-room shack. He went through every box, every paper, every old thing the man had left behind. He found a tin under the bed. Inside was a stack of 204 envelopes, one for every single month since Kofi had left Ghana. Everyone was addressed to him. None of them had ever been sealed. None had ever been sent. And at the bottom of every single envelope, folded small, was a 20 CD note. Then he found the notebook. Old, tattered, cover falling off. And that was where he read the whole story. His father had got another woman pregnant when Kofi was 7 years old. Everyone told him to walk away. His family, the pastor, his friends, they told him deny it, send her to the village, pretend it never happened. He would not do it. He said a child does not ask to be born. And then he made the most terrible choice a man can make. He decided he would not break two families. So he would be a father to neither. He would work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, driving his taxi. He would split every single CD he earned exactly down the middle. Half would go to Kofi and his mother. Half would go to Amma and her mother. And he would never be present for any of them. He missed Kofi's graduation because Amma was in hospital with malaria that same day. He did not send Kofi money for university because the second boy needed an operation on his leg. Every single time Kofi needed him, he was somewhere else for someone else. And he never told anyone. He never explained. He never complained. He just carried it for 25 years. On the 5th day, Kofi went to visit their house. It was a one-room shack in Nima. No electricity. One light bulb run off a car battery. The youngest boy was 12. He had never owned a pair of shoes that were not broken. The 16-year-old had dropped out of school 6 months earlier because they could not pay 120 cedis a term. The youngest, the girl, she was 19. She had a baby 4 months old. The baby had a cough that would not go away. They offered him the only chair they had. They boiled water and made him tea. They had nothing and they gave him half of it. And they told him stories about his father. Stories Kofi had never heard. about a man who would come home at 1 o'clock in the morning and bring them lollipops he had hidden in his sock, about a man who fixed every bicycle for every child in the neighborhood for free, about a man who was gentle and kind and patient, everything Kofi had never known. And now that man was dead, and he had left nothing. No will, no money, no land. The only thing he had ever owned was that old taxi, and he had sold it 3 months before he died to buy medicine for the baby. The only inheritance he left was 4 children. Now Kofi had a choice. He could get on the plane the next morning. He could go back to London. He could go back to his life, the life he had built with his own 2 hands, through all the hunger and the loneliness and the anger. Nobody had any right to ask him for anything. Nobody would blame him if he walked away. Most people would. Or he could stay, or he could take responsibility for a mistake he did not make, for a choice that was never his, for 3 strangers who shared half his blood. This is the part of the story where most people want a big dramatic moment. They want shouting, they want tears, they want Kofi to stand up and say, I will stay forever, and we will be a family, and everything will be perfect. That is not what happened. For 2 weeks, he said almost nothing. He did not make any big speeches. He did not tell anyone what he was going to do. He just did small things. He took the baby to the doctor. He went to the school and paid the fees. He bought the youngest boy 2 pairs of shoes. One evening, he was sitting on a cinder block outside their shack. The sun was going down. The youngest boy came and sat next to him. They sat there for almost half an hour without saying a word. Then the boy said, Daddy told us you would come. Kofi said, what? He said, one day your brother will come. He said you will look after us. He said he was sorry he could not be the father that either of you needed. Kofi did not answer. That night he went back to his hotel room and he cancelled his flight. He did not sell everything and move home. That is the lie they tell you in the movies. He still lives in London. He still runs his company. He comes back every 2 months. Some visits are good. Some are hard. Some days he resents it. Some days he gets angry. Some days he sits on the plane and wonders what on earth he's doing. But he shows up. That is the end of the story. There is no miracle. There is no perfect happy ending. Just a man who came home to bury a father he hated and instead inherited a family he never asked for. And I will tell you one last thing. I sat and drank beer with Kofi 3 months ago. I asked him if he ever forgave his father. He thought for a very long time. Then he said no. I do not think I will ever forgive him. But I understand him now, and that is enough. Sometimes inheritance is not money. Sometimes it is not land. Sometimes the only thing a father ever leaves you is the chance to be a better man than he was. And sometimes you do not choose your family. They are just the people who show up when everyone else is gone. That is the story. For more relatable story, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notification.